Coming up on today's episode of Circle Back.
If someone tells me they're 9 for their last 10, I know for a fact they're 9 for their last 11, right? Like you're looking at just these really tiny sample sizes.
Never at any point in my life. Even when I was a complete moron, no pun intended, that the things haven't changed.
If you didn't have a bunch of money already and couldn't post big tickets, you don't have a good enough personality for sure. There's no way.
Okay, first of all, did the inspect element not exist?
Do you work for the Catchers Union? What's the problem with this argument?
Just get the pitcher to throw it in the zone and you'll be okay, I guess.
Who cares? Who cares?
That's what I think. Disclaimer. The content presented in this show is intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions expressed are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of any individuals or organizations mentioned. Statements made about public figures or entities are based on publicly available information and are not intended to harm or defame any person or business. This show relies on fair use of social media posts, which are presented in good faith for the purpose of commentary and criticism. Viewers and listeners are advised to form their own opinions. You know what time it is. It's time for Circle Back here on the Circles Off channel. It is our entertainment and educational content division of the Hammer Betting Network. We also do lifestyle content, but with Circle Back, this is the show where we cover the latest and greatest news from gambling Twitter, and Twitter, I think, as a whole as well. We do it with myself as your host. I am Jacob Gramegna, host here of Circle Back. I am also a creator and producer here with the Hammer Betting Network. In the bottom left corner of the screen, it is our resident one-time contest winner. It is our liquidity filler in prediction markets. It's Chris Dierkes, otherwise known as Fluff No Lied. In the bottom right, host on the Hit the Books channel, which is the Hammer's NCAA content division, and the guy you call when you need to get a fill, Joey Knish. In the top right corner of the screen, it is writer, bettor, and responsible gaming advocate, Isaac. Isaac, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining us today as our fourth on the show.
Pretty good. Always a pleasure to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you as well. We have a absolutely loaded episode today. If you guys don't know, we have a list of topics pre-show where we all vote how much we want to cover that topic. And there was so much today that would normally make the cut for how much people want to do it, but is not on the show at all because we had just so much stuff that could have easily been a focal point of the show over the last few days. But let's just jump into things here. The title of the episode today is talking about people exposing themselves in the betting space, and I think we have an example here to lead ourselves off. It is from Farley Bets, at Farley Bets, who we've covered on the show before. He says, "We've been tracking the most significant line moves every week. And in week 3, odds makers and bettors were wrong in 6 out of 8 cases. Even if you don't count the Rams, it's still 5-8, and he's not counting. Well, if you don't count it because it was a horrific beat because of the block punt return or block field goal return for a touchdown. Anyways, even if you don't count the Rams, it's 5-8 that moved in the quote unquote wrong direction. The lesson: don't blindly chase line movement. The market is not God." I want to start with you on this one, Flup. Do you see any flaws with the logic here as he goes through the 8 games that did have the most significant line movement on week 3 of NFL?
Yeah, I mean, the most obvious error here is just short sample size. I mean, what are we supposed to do with 8 bets? I mean, if you track these line movements over a significant sample, I guarantee you'll do it better than 50%. So going 5 for 8 or 6 for 8 in the wrong way in 1 week doesn't really mean anything. And to draw a conclusion out of that is laughable. It's almost as silly as using a trend from a couple of years where 1-0 teams play 0-1 teams in week 2 or something like that. That's how ridiculous this is.
Anything from you on this one, Isaac, to add on to that?
Yeah, it's funny. Whenever I see stuff like this, I just remember the old, I think it was Bet Stamp Johnny, who said, if someone tells me they're 9 for their last 10, I know for a fact they're 9 for their last 11, right? Like you're looking at just these really tiny sample sizes. Obviously, it's just going to be so much noise there. And the fact that you're selecting it, like I have no idea if he ran the numbers for the last 2 weeks, the last 3 weeks. But, if he ran it for 3 weeks and it didn't hold for then, you're always going to use the smallest sample size, which proves your point the most. So, yeah, I mean, it's just pretty silly.
How about you, Knish? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is low hanging fruit content, right? Of like, you can tweet something like this and then be like, yeah, nobody knows. Like, you get people like, oh yeah, nobody knows what's going on, or just like the market's always wrong, the sharp's always wrong. It's just easy to engagement farm with something like that and like do a quick like, well, you know what? I don't think the market, or like it helps people make justifications for stupid bets of like, well, why better? Why get CLV? CLV doesn't matter anymore. Or like I can just bet on Sunday. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised to see it, in that format, from Rob's buddy, Farley Bets, a big friend of the Hammer Betting Network.
I would say rare, particularly good take from Joey there. That's, I think, very astute, noting, like the incentives of play here, right? Like you just kind of fire that off. You're going to get a bunch of likes, bunch of followers, bunch of clicks. It's a part of the ecosystem. It kind of is unfortunate. You go to the lowest common denominator.
I've got this made me think of a question I got for what do we think like an average square bettor believes is a good winning percentage on minus 110s? Like if they said like a professional bettor is winning 55%, would they say that's awful? Like you should be winning 70 or 80%? And like I think it would kind of help like frame of references to like maybe why they would be more susceptible to like this kind of like misinformation.
So it's a good point. Well, you asked it. You've thought about it. What do you think the number would be?
I actually think most squares would think it's like 70% plus. But I'm curious what Isaac.
No, I don't think. I think like that's the sort of the thing that people misunderstand the least, right? I think a lot of bettors have heard at some point maybe like the 52% or whatever. Like they know if you win even more than like 51%, you're probably doing well. I just think it's the slightly more complex things like the line movement, like, the value of buying the point, whatever, like understanding the VIG. When you're just looking at, I think most people would know if you're winning 60%. Most people who've like placed more than 10 bets in their life would know that if you win more than 60% at minus 110, you're probably chilling.
I would probably think more like 60%, because I think for like the casual bettor, the thought process is like, I know sports, and if I'm taking like very low juice, like I should know because I know sports so well. So I think it would be 60%. But you brought up a good point that does make me think it's hard for them to understand CLV. This is just one of the barriers to understanding CLV, because they don't understand like the very fine lines between profitability and losing money in situations like this. So that's something I will definitely think about going forward. But
Jacob, wait, sorry, I don't want to. We can cut this out if you want. One thing I think is sort of similar question there for Chris is what percentage of bettors could win betting into zero VIG? Like if they were actually betting into no VIG pregame or live, like what percentage would they win? I think a lot of people would actually win if they were just betting early into live at like 1 or 2% VIG. Actually, I think a lot of people actually win.
I think if a pregame, about 60 to 70% of bettors would win at a zero VIG, would be my opinion. And live, I actually think well over 80% would win.
Because Joey's skeptical.
No, because like we know it. Like I've asked like what live holds are, like straight bets at minus 115 lines, and they're only like 3-ish%. Like they're not like these. They're not like they're holding massive.
Yeah, but that's inclusive of rec and sharp bettors. That's inclusive of everybody. You don't have it isolated for only the really bad people.
Sure, but like even so, like there's just so many little tricks that you can do, and to like boost your win percentage to like 50.5%, and it's like you're just now winning if it's zero VIG. So I think a majority of people. That's why you have to have the minus 110. It's like you got to protect yourself against that.
It's a very interesting question as well. Would love to hear the thoughts in the comments down below. Knish, you looked a little bit skeptical. What percentage bettors do you think would win if they had no juice to bet into markets with?
The 60 to 70%, and again, I'm not the quant of this panel, but the 60 to 70% and the 80% live seems a tad aggressive to me. I don't know why would it not just, maybe I'm thinking of it too simplistically, but why would it not just be just over 50%, or where you're calling like of winning better if you're like really devigged it and got down, because you're thinking most people would get around, if they're just coin flipping, right, and just picking a side, would be around 50%. So if you devig it, wouldn't you have around 50% of just the square population?
I talked about this on other podcasts before, but like going on the actual topic we started with, the line movement thing, if you actually just bet in favor of the steam at post, you will win about 51% of your bets. So like if you literally just zero vigged and bet in the favor of steam, you are a winning better by definition. And that kind of leads me to believe that like people's raw intuition and raw even casual sports fans do have some amount of ball knowledge that is actually probably superior to a random trader who has to do every single game and every single prop come up there, and they can selectively pick these specific games. Like if you said every bettor has to bet across the board, yes, I would agree. 50% would probably be probably even less than 50%. But if you can just selectively pick a couple games that you're most confident on, and you can bet in zero vig, I do think you'd have 60, 70% winners per game and 80% plus live, because there's just so many little things that you can do, and you don't need to be that intelligent to do it. It's just like going from 50.5 to 51% win probability to like 54% is just an absolute canyon, and that's why most can't do it, and that's why 97 to 99% of people lose.
Before we move on to the next topic, because I know if Farley sees this, he won't understand this conversation, because he put this out like CLV doesn't matter. Look, 6 out of the 8 games in which there was heavy CLV didn't even win at the original number where people were moving it from. And because Circles Off has just hit 20,000 subscribers, by the way, thank you so much, everybody. We have a very vast audience who also may not be as well versed in these CLV discussions. Flub, could you quickly, because I think you'd be the best at explaining this with no disrespect to anybody else in the panel, what is it about CLV that is so important, if you can say it in like a minute or less?
I would say, simply put, CLV is the combined intellectual powers of all winning sharps. And if you get CLV, that means the majority of winners agree with you. And if you have the majority of winners agree with you, you're in all likelihood going to have an above 50% chance and have a winning bet. And in theory, if you believe in the efficient market hypothesis, that every bet at post should be 50-50. And if you got CLV, that means your bet was profitable versus the closing line, which is supposed to be a 50-50 bet. So since it's profitable versus that, is therefore a winning bet long term. And if you just continually got CLV, you would be a long-term winner. Most people subscribe to this belief, and it's been proven for decades at this point. I don't know. I don't know how.
No, I think that's good. And a way I like to describe it is you're betting on a market that has, at the time, implied probability of 52%, and then at the time of close, your win probability is now 55%. You have a strong position because your win probability exceeds the implied odds at which you bet at. So that's why there is such a significance on CLV in these discussions. But as I said, kind of the theme for the start of this episode, people kind of exposing themselves in the way they discuss betting. And the second example is our second topic here from @Barstool Tate of Barstool. It says Ohio State opened at minus 13.5, and now we're down to minus 7.5 because he's a fan. I'm begging in all caps the public to get us one more point, get this thing under a touchdown, please. And I say this because we have a second tweet from Barstool Tate that I just brought up for contextual purposes, which showcases that this is a person who does tend to discuss betting topics and give out betting picks and discusses betting. Like, this is somebody that should know a little bit better, in my opinion. And he got called out for saying that he wants the public to move a line. And the degenerate came to his defense at the DGen Weekly. He said, "This guy is getting shit for not knowing the difference between public and sharp betting. Can we relax? Sports bettors love being know-it-alls. I mean, hell, I didn't know what ARB betting was till just recently, and now I'm the ARB king." So a couple of things I want to touch on in this one, but I did want to go to you first of all, Isaac, on this one. There's kind of two discussions. I guess I'll let you pick which one you want to lead with. First of all, do sharp bettors come on far too strongly when somebody gets it wrong? Second of all, should somebody who's giving out picks has indirect sponsorship with this company, with a sportsbook, should they know better in situations like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people can pile on, and it's probably not good if it's just a normal person. But when you have a huge audience or you're selling picks, there's sort of a different level that you should have to reach. And so, yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. It's not really going to do anything, right? If you insult them, it's not like it's going to change his opinion or anything. But yeah, it's pretty sad to see.
And how about you on this one, Knish? Kind of both the questions, whichever one you want to tackle.
Well, I mean, I love a good dunk on an idiot as much as anybody. So, yeah, I mean, I think people out there can be a little bit, know-it-all-ish in the frame and want to, but I mean, I would be very hypocritical if I didn't say that I've done that or didn't enjoy many a thread that did that. So I get it from that standpoint. And again, like, I don't know. Should people know better? Like, this guy's not really, like, just because he works for Barstool and has bet a few games or something. Like, I don't think the majority of people would know. But now, is he cherry picking? I'm going to do the whole like thing that he, degenerates accusing people of here of like, this didn't really open third. Like the look ahead was 13.5. It didn't really open 13.5. This was opening like it's opened like really under 10. So it's not like there's this like begging to get the public one more, point thing. So it is a stupid example of like that, but like, should he be massively shamed for it? I don't know. And a lot of times that the shaming kind of happens in our sphere, in our niche sphere where people who know what they're talking about are kind of laughing. It's not like this gets like 20K, 100K likes of everybody being like, look at this idiot. So
I think that the tricky thing is that, like, I don't know, at least for me, that used to be me for so many things. And it like there are still some times where it is. I don't know, like obviously most of the time, as we talked about, the steam is in the right direction. But like Joey, surely there are times when you just see the entire market moving against you and you're like, just give me those couple extra points so I can add on and like this side. Like there are times when you disagree with everybody.
That exact example.
Exactly.
I would probably bet a little Ohio State at 7, but am I, out there, chiming for the public, telling, Flupp and, his friends, the public squares to go put a little more on, Washington? No. I'm hoping that, some service release it or something.
Hey,
Chris does not agree. Chris is not a fan.
I hate fading steam. I think fading steam is a very bad thing to do, and it's a recipe for failure in general. There's always some slight exceptions. But I hate fading steam. Also, the public can move lines. Like, I don't know what like people are like dunking on him for. Like, I think I agree with the DJ completely here. I can think of new. What
would this be an example you think where public money would be able to move a line? There'd be a like
not this particular game, no, but
yeah.
like in a national championship, yes, absolutely.
Sure.
The public can move lines, etc. Like, how many fights have we had? I mean, where the public has moved lines. So
but these are specific examples. Like I'm thinking like the Tyson Paul fight. Clearly, there was public. The public had a very large factor on that, but these are very, very rare examples.
Yeah, but I just I don't even think he meant anything by it. He just meant like someone's moving the line. Like people are stupid because they disagree with him. People are reading way too into this tweet, and as much as I do enjoy ducking on people on Twitter and getting dunked on all the time on Twitter, I think he's kind of right. Sometimes people are a little too harsh. You can dial it down a little bit. But overall, I thought the tweet is pretty innocent enough, and I kind of find it funny.
I now that I do think about it as well, at least he does have some presence of mind over a price he wants to play, where he's like, if it gets to this, I'll feel like it's a good enough bet, and I have an edge at 6.5. I don't think this would ever touch 6.5. And if it did, I don't think he would be quick enough to get a bet in before it moved away from the 6.5. But at least some level of understanding of price sensitivity does exist there. So perhaps that is good. We're talking about college football here. I'll tell you where we talk a lot of college football at the Hammer Bet Network. That's Hit the Books. We're going to get a word on that right now. I might be biased, but this is without a doubt the best college football show around. Brad Powers and Joey Knish every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the Hit the Books YouTube channel. Come for Brad's insights and Knish's off-color remarks. They answer a ton of questions on all the games you're curious about. Plus, best bets will be given out. Once again, tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the Hit the Books YouTube channel. Head to the link in the description to make it even easier to go check it out. Next one and kind of final one that goes with this theme, and Flip's already laughing if you're listening in audio form. We have Taylor Lewin of Bussin' with the Boys, the Bussin' with the Boys show, former NFL player, who put "Tomorrow They Die," tagged FanDuel partner, posted a $50,000 wager on Michigan money line at -138 odds. Now his co-host and the creator of Bussin' with the Boys, Will Compton, also former NFL player, replies with a photo of his FanDuel screenshot of a $50,000 wager on Nebraska, the team that Michigan are playing, at +102 odds. And Jack Settleman quotes it or takes some screenshots and says, "We can acknowledge why this is funny, right?" And because Flup was already laughing, you found it funny. What is it about this that we need to acknowledge as humorous?
Well, there's honestly a lot of different things here. Okay,
a few,
First of all, shout out to the sponsor of the show. I mean, Kalshi. They could have just bet against each other on an exchange and paid a lot less vig. So
that's what I was thinking.
Yes, I figured that was what most people were thinking. Another thing I thought was funny is if you notice the lines, like it was -138 and +102. Clearly, like it moved against someone because there's no way FanDuel is posting a +102 -138 like line. That's like it's horrible. So someone like took it at a bad price and moved against him, and then the other guy came the opposite way. So I thought that was also funny as well. But and then furthermore, like they probably didn't even need an exchange. They're on the show together. They could probably just say like,
whoa. You can't be betting against each other. Our responsible gaming advocate could tell you that.
It's illegal in certain states. No, I mean, it's honestly hilarious. Like, I want to just keep these together. And it's so also intuitive, like, why these guys lose. You see these tweets, and if you kind of think about it, I think it's just perfect. I'm going to keep these and show them to people in the future about why sportsbooks win money.
And how about you, Knish?
I mean, I the biggest tell here is always, and I can't even do it myself. When this was a thing for like priming accounts, I couldn't even do it. Is he's betting flat 50,000, not to win 50,000, and that is the ultimate. Like if you see somebody like that, 50,000 wager on like a -138 money line is like that square. Like like high roller square. That's a guy I want to get some accounts from there. That like the biggest tell. And even knowing that, like I can't, like my brain would be like, no, I can't do it. I'd be like placing a win. So always enjoy seeing that. Also enjoyed that sweet Michigan victory. I was on the same side as Mr. Lewan there.
I'm assuming you got -130. You got
-38.
Yeah.
I got a better price, but there was way better prices out there throughout the week than -138, like at multiple times. So it actually closed way lower. So
right, yeah, as we see. Sorry, okay, go ahead, Flip. Before I
no, I was just gonna say, like, I've always been bothered by this, like people not price shopping. But to be fair, like in other industries, do like when you guys go to the grocery store, do you like go to several grocery stores to buy like products like that are cheaper, or like search for the cheapest gas station? Like I'm assuming a lot of people actually do that. And like I think it's to the recreational person, it probably doesn't matter. Like they're not shopping around because like they just do what's convenient to them.
Yeah, but it's different. Like if the person was betting $10, then it'd be like, the same thing, like not shopping for gas. Dude's betting 50 grand. Like the difference between that and a good price is like $3,000 or $4,000. Like that's like saying you're gonna buy, a $5,000 TV or like something really expensive and not care. It's ridiculous. Also, sure. Joey, I've always bet and will always flat stake. I love it. I love that Chris knows this. Like I love betting.
Oh my
the
God!
straight
Of
amount.
course you do.
That's why the sports
Get
books
those
love
accounts off him, Knish.
Chris,
The
you-
sportsbook love him because he's round robining some tennis match from Australia and then putting the whole ladder and going 287 in a round robin. That's why they love him.
Chris, when you started, did you bet to win or you bet the flat amount?
Flat amount.
Nice.
Do you still do
I
that?
never did. Never. Never at any point in my life. Even when I was a complete moron. No pun intended that the things haven't changed, but
depends where I'm betting. If I'm betting on like PPH.
Okay. In the chat, let's see the discussion. Sorry, the comments. Are you a flat stake bettor or are you to win the flat stake, the flat amount? Give us your thoughts. I started betting just a flat amount. Now I bet to win the flat amount. But on the conversation with that Chris brought up before I say what I want to say, but what's funny about this to me, for like price shopping grocery stores, I go to like what I think is the cheapest in my area and do all my shopping there. But if there was 3 grocery stores side by side, I would probably pick and choose which items I get from which place. And I think sports betting is kind of that easy where you can just go side by side. And for gas, people do drive further or make a detour to go to a cheaper gas station if they know one's in the area. So yes, you should do it. They are #FanDuel partner, it says here. So I'll concede they're betting on the book that they're sponsored by. But I know this is a big game. But they bet $50,000 each. Is that not above what a FanDuel limit would be? Because also it moved a lot of this. It isn't even being bet at post. Can you get $50,000 down on a FanDuel side on a college football game? You're muted.
You can't even get 50,000 on an NFL.
So that's the fourth thing I think that's funny about this.
At post
on a fresh,
I'd say this account is minimum like double or quadruple limit.
This is 4x.
Okay.
It has to be 4x a minimum.
So, I mean, we've kind of covered 4 things here, acknowledging what's funny about this. I mean, one of them got horrific CLV. They could have done peer-to-peer betting, especially for I know they're sponsored, but for that much money, like you could just say you're betting something, and then I guess you could just do it on a prediction market for peer-to-peer betting. There was just the amount of limits on this, and what was the one Knish said? That was the 4th one I'm blanking on right now. Oh, the flat stake at $50,000. That's what it was. So a lot to unpack for this one here. But we did say you can bet with prediction markets. Maybe prediction markets have gone a lot more mainstream after Wednesday's South Park episode. I actually thought it was fake when I first saw the info for the episode, was that it was going to be about prediction markets, and exactly that's what the episode was about. South Park promoted it by saying Kyle and Carmen are at odds when a prediction market app gets popular with their fellow students in an all-new episode. And this was on Wednesday, September 24th. If you're listening / watching this on the day it came out, this is on the 26th, but this would be a couple days ago. But yes, it was very heavily focused on prediction markets and Cartman's ability to manipulate the odds or percentages on the prediction markets based on factors within his control. And within the episode, it looked very much like Kalshi interface on the phone Cartman is using. Alex M says, a year ago, finance nerds, sorry to our sponsors Kalshi, hoped prediction markets would take off with the elections. Tonight, South Park dedicated an entire episode to this new layer of the internet. Kalshi was then directly mentioned in the episode and directly shown on screen in a market on the gender of Donald Trump and Satan's baby. And then we had people handicapping on these markets, crunching. We have Noah at Nostroa says, I've crunched the data from 100 plus South Park episodes and found yes shares for the word hell are a steal on Kalshi. Dive into the detailed stats. And he posted a thread, and it was markets based on what word was going to be said in the episode. All right. A lot of details from myself on that one. So let's go to the panel for some more on this one. Isaac, a responsible gaming advocate. They touched on some of this stuff within the episode on maybe some morality issues with some markets being offered on prediction markets. I don't know if you saw the episode, but do you think this is good or bad for the prediction space?
I mean, like normalization is probably good. I would imagine. I mean, you can tell that the sponsor of the show is very happy about that.
Yes.
And I think there is also a difference between like the morality of the markets being offered and the responsible gaming issue. Maybe they're a little bit related, but I kind of see them as different things. I mean, yeah, it's pretty funny. I will say I was with Chris yesterday, and he saw I took a pretty solid position on them saying DraftKings, which unfortunately did not happen. So lost
Yeah,
that.
I saw that comment. Oh my god.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean it's pretty funny. Like we live on such a niche corner of the internet, and then you see it become quite mainstream. Yeah. It's crazy stuff.
Absolutely.
We were here first.
What did you think, Chris? Did any of you watch this episode? By the way, I did watch the episode.
I watched it. Yeah. You watched it, Kim?
Yeah, I love South Park, and in preparation, I didn't watch it yesterday because I didn't have time, which I wanted to watch it live, but I watched it today in preparation for this. Yes. Yeah. But go ahead, Chris. What did you think?
I thought it was hilarious. It's so funny because one of the group chats I'm in, someone said this almost looked like one of the prediction markets paid for like product placement in the beginning, but then like midway through the episode, you're like, okay, no, definitely was not paid because like I know like Kalshi and like Polymarket were excited about this, but like there are some like pretty clear negatives and like attacks on them, which I found hilarious. I don't want to bash the sponsor too bad on her. I've already done enough of that, but I thought that South Park did a great job. They're very fair, in my opinion. They showed the pros and the cons of it, and they just kept it real, which is I think which South Park always does. They will offend anyone. They don't care. They don't discriminate on who they offend. So I thought it was a well done episode, and it shows how big prediction markets is, but it also showed like how corrupt some of them could be and the problems that could happen with them.
The episode is directly titled "Conflict of Interest," which is why I asked, like, it wasn't painted in the best of light prediction markets, but would they still see this as a positive? What are your thoughts on it, Knish?
First, probably the only semi-interesting thing I have to say, I've never seen a single episode of South Park ever in my entire life. Yeah, like not one. But having followed it just a little bit, like culturally and media wise, this is kind of like the next. It reminds me of like when crypto started taking off a little bit, just in terms of its mainstream popularity, where now like your mechanic, the guy who's changing your oil, would be like, hey, have you heard about Kalshi? Like, what's going on there? Like, it's starting to infiltrate like just normie society.
Wait. Have any of you heard a normie actually mention a prediction market though yet? Like, maybe I don't talk to enough people. I would love to see what college campuses are like. Like, are people actually suggesting? Like, has your mechanic said something to you, Knish?
No, but that was the example because like I remember a time where like I was getting an oil change and the guy mentioned Bitcoin at one point. But you know what? Let me do a Joey Corporal do a tester and report back the findings on a next episode to see how many
the water cooler talk.
How many normies at the water cooler know like what a prediction market or I've heard of Kalshi. Right.
And how do you play it? Do they know you bet at work? Are you like, prediction markets? What the hell?
Yeah, some people do, but like I'll smoothly filter it in, be like, hey, have you guys, like are these new prediction markets that are kind of like that, and so I'll filter it in casually, like I don't know what I'm talking about.
And then when they say they bet on a rec book, you go, oh, yeah, do you have an account that you maybe don't use anymore?
Yeah. Oh, love to share.
Sounds Joe, you ever seen an episode of Family Guy or what?
Yes, Family Guy, yes. South Park, no.
Interesting.
I'm a big South Park fan, over Family Guy as well. So I was excited to see this, and obviously directly in line with our sponsor on the show, which is Kalshi. If you do want to sign up to Kalshi, hey, they've definitely hit the mainstream now. But you can sign up with the QR code that is on screen right now. If you're watching in video, if you're listening in audio, or at any other time over the course of the entire watching experience, you go to the link in the description, sign up to Kalshi, get involved with the peer-to-peer betting, get involved with the prediction markets, and support the show at the very same time. Don't end up like Will Compton and whoever the other guy was, betting $50,000 each into into all that juice. You can do it peer-to-peer, and you can earn more money in the process. On the conversation of prediction markets, it does take us into our next segment as well. We have a tweet from PJ who says, so many prediction market whales are ex-professional poker players, it's unreal. Similar conversation to what we had last week. Flup, can you think of any examples? The headline says notorious PM bull. Can you think of any examples of this?
Yeah, myself, I guess. I mean, I never was fully pro poker, but I did play like semi-professionally for a few years and know several guys. I think it's just like there's not this. I think you might be overreading it. It's just like they're in the pro gambling space. A lot of poker players transition to sports betting, and that's they just view prediction markets as another out, which you should, in my opinion. And that's really there all is to it. There's nothing like super deep into it. It's not like the sophisticated traders or anything like that. I think like a big problem that's going to happen though is so many of like the crypto like day traders or like meme coin traders, they're going to here, and a lot of the guys that are actually good at like trading these small markets and whatnot are having a lot of success because they're not really competing against anyone notable or anyone big. But like this wouldn't work in traditional finance. And if prediction markets does hit the growth that every single prediction market Twitter account is tweeting about, does hit it in like 10 years, it's going to cause a lot of problems when these same strategies that you're doing don't work, because now there's a lot more sophisticated and sharp money and you get blown up. So I worry what's going to happen to some of these people that are like making a lot of money swing trading and day trading these kind of markets.
I think the other thing to keep in mind is that a lot of ex-professional or even like fairly regular poker players got really rich, not necessarily because they were really good at poker, but because they got lucky with Bitcoin, right? So I know a bunch of guys, for example, who played poker and they were good, not incredible, but because they played poker online, they kept basically like their entire bankroll in Bitcoin. And so accidentally then just made a crap ton of money that way. So like the people I know from poker who are really good at poker, who are now in prediction markets, are normally pretty sharp. Or if they're not sharp, they're at least like trying to get good prices. I would guess that a lot of the former poker players who are big whales or dumping huge on prediction markets are the ones who maybe got a little bit lucky along the way. But it's better to be lucky than good.
Also, Isaac, before I think he's using whale as big better. It's not the negative.
Yeah, fair enough. That's the other thing. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a necessarily big loser.
Anything from you to add, Knish?
Yeah, I mean, this is the, table poker player to crypto trader to sports bettor to prediction market, one of those, like a graph that goes.
We had that last week. We had that last week.
Yeah, where like, like people like Fluff that, should be out there where they belong in the financial markets or in the poker room, and have now come over into our space and infiltrated it with the R being their fancy, all of that, when it should just be, a space for tried and true sports bettors. So it's sad to see.
All right. I've said it a few times on the show so far today, but make sure you do get in the comments on anything throughout the show. But a couple of times I've noticed specific things you could discuss in the comments down below. We always appreciate the discussions there. While you're down there, you can hit the like button. You can subscribe to the channel. Help us keep on pushing forward after we hit 20,000 subs. And let's get into some of the comments from last week. Maybe yours can feature next week. We have JJ Huda. Hopefully I said that right. At this point, the only thing stopping me from becoming a scam tout is my lack of personality. Now, it does seem like it could be a little bit easy with the amount of people we bring up on the show today. But Knish, we talked about last week the vast enterprises that exist in order to make these Discords and these services profitable to the people selling the picks. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, that's just kind of... It's not the old way of, like, I remember when I was first getting on Twitter, you could almost just build it up doing like your classic, like, tweet high volume, tweet, recaps with the emojis, do that. And that was kind of like, you're basically, if you wanted to get a tout Twitter account off the ground, that would be the way to go about, you fake the record, all that type of stuff. Things like have kind of, especially with the dub clubs and it's like it's scaled now to a much different level of sophistication if you're doing it right, and also much tougher to I think Porter had a lot of much tougher to kind of poke holes in if you're doing home run SGPs, 8 different things, putting out 20 different plays on there. So
Editing,
it's not like
tickets.
Yeah, it's almost like a marketing company now that like a marketing tech, these small marketing tech, small businesses that are running tout scams that are very, very hard to decipher. And if you really want to break it down, people aren't going to like really listen to that. Where if you're like, if you like the amount of labor it takes for someone to actually track this stuff, as opposed to your classic straight bettor that's releasing plays, much more difficult, much more to end. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's much more sophisticated, very tough to break through.
Even I agree. Like sorry, just I point I want to make. Even in the last 3 years, I've seen like a dramatic shift in the way it's marketed. It's like when McDonald's realized they were in the real estate business rather than like the food service industry. That's kind of what's happened the last 3 years, where you're not in the betting industry, you're in the marketing industry, as you said there, Knish. Yeah. It's just about marketing yourself as best as possible. Sorry to cut you off, Isaac.
No. I was gonna say I agree with Joey and think that comment, while I kind of agree with it, doesn't give the touts enough credit, right? Like, I would imagine there are a lot of touts and only a few can make a bunch of money. I'm not saying like what they're doing is good, but I don't think it's as easy as, you just post 1 or 2 tickets and you do it. Yeah. Like, I haven't seen the numbers, but I would guess the distribution of earnings on WAP or Dub Club is similar to OnlyFans, where it's like, 1% are making 80%, and then you got a heck of a lot of cappers who have like 1 or 2 subs. So yeah, it's we got to give them some credit. I don't think it's that easy.
I disagree. I hope the comment also meant to add that, like, not your lack of personality, but also your lack of morality. Because I think maybe I'm too arrogant. I feel like if I actually had these low morals, I could make good money touting and like scamming.
Yeah, if you started a pick selling package tomorrow and promoted like the contest,
that's only because you have a lot of money. If you didn't have a bunch of money already and couldn't post big tickets, you don't have a good enough personality for sure. There's no way.
Okay, first of all, the inspect element like not exist. I mean, like, we just saw these like in last week.
Photoshop the tickets.
Photoshop is not that difficult. Like, Isaac, this isn't that hard. And like the strategy is pretty simple. You just post a bunch of like long shot SGPs, you hype it up, you keep retweeting yourself, you spam it, and you keep getting the hype. I mean, I just don't think I think really what it is just like, it creates a natural barrier, because if you were actually good enough and like talented enough, you could just make it more natural. Like, I think most people that had this level of talent that could actually market in an ethical way would be able to just make more betting sports. So like, those smart people are just naturally gone. So then it's just stuck. All you're left with is who has the lowest morals, and those are the people that are going to make the most money. So not a lot of people have that low of morals, and that's why I think you guys are giving them too much credit. I don't think it's that hard to market to what they're doing, using disgustingly scummy tactics, which is what they do. Most people just wouldn't want to cross these lines, and if you're willing to.
What percentage of Dub Club or WAP pick sellers do you think have more than like 10 subs per month?
Probably no. I agree with like the distribution is like that, but I just think like those people that have under 10 are probably very, very stupid, and probably their morals aren't that low. Like, they try to do some level at them, whereas like the people that are at the very top have truly the lowest morals and are at least somewhat average intelligence.
Jacob, all I got from that is I need you to clip up the part where it says, "Flup, maybe I'm too arrogant," and hard stop it right there and just send me that so I can complete tweeting it on a loop for the next, for all of eternity.
This is a good call. I do have a timestamp on Isaac roasting Chris right there, so that'll probably make the intro of this one here. On the next comment,
that personality is great. I'm charming. I don't know why Isaac. All right, we can go on.
The next comment comes from Kyle Kerms, the sauce. He says Joey Knish is spot on about Kimmel in our discussion last week about Jimmy Kimmel. The ceilings in privatized media are much higher these days, and the quote unquote cancellation certainly gives him a huge initial boost in his next project. Wouldn't be surprised the whole situation is strategic marketing. We talked about Jimmy Kimmel's show potentially getting canceled. It already returned within the week of us doing the show.
Returned.
It's already back, even though me, Knish, and Porter said that yes, it would get canceled by December 31st.
Oh God, he brought actual like receipts. No, I don't. When I'm wrong, I don't like the receipts.
And we have Flup who says no on the market. Currently, it's sitting at 13%. And it settles December 31st, 2025. So we do have a little bit more time here. But yes, the show is already back after less than a week. And if anything, the show is going to be more popular now because it absolutely crushed in viewership on the return. And I think that the whole situation has kind of had an adverse effect because, again, there was even more eyes on this one than before. But Knish, you were directly mentioned in the comment here, so you give your thoughts.
I mean, just like the most anecdotal example ever is I haven't listened to a Jimmy Kimmel monologue in, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years. I don't remember the last time that I even watched I listened to the whole thing. I saw that the 17-minute monologue. I actually listened to it, see what it said, and as the rating said, it's probably his highest rated show in who knows how long. So, yeah, and I thought, Flup had a great comparison last week in a more morbid sense around the Charlie Kirk. You think about people like Martin Luther King, JFK, Tupac, Biggie, would those people, not to say those people wouldn't have had impact or message, well, but when something like this happens or something like you get a mass cancellation where a government is trying to silence you, and then you can phrase it, you rise up and take it on, it makes you, into this, as you said, a martyr. And now, as Kim said, whatever his next project is, it can kind of then spearfront that. I'm sure his people wouldn't have been, crying for crying tears if he did get canceled, because that next thing then becomes even bigger. So yeah, it's kind of all that when you try and silence people, more times than not, it just blows up in your face.
Anybody else? Chris, you had thoughts on this last week. Do you have
all
anything to add?
I was pretty wrong on this one. I thought I misread the situation completely. I thought they really wanted to cancel the show, and this was just an excuse to cancel it. But as I was talking with a friend of mine who pointed out, no, the show didn't want to. They were more pressured from the White House. So I actually disagree with Kyle Kerms here. After seeing what happened, I don't think this was an ulterior motive. I think they just got they kind of panicked because they were under pressure and didn't want to do anything rash. Waited a week and were all right, we're good, and went back, and that's all there was to it. I don't think there's any strategy to boost viewership or anything like that. Even though the show has been declining, and that is true, they still it's still a popular show. So there's over 1 million viewers, almost 2 million viewers. So they're still gonna they still make money from it. So I was way off there, and I'm at this point it looks like it'll just here to be stay. And now that I say that, I'm sure I'll get canceled from more pressure from the White House in a month or so.
I think that's a little bit of from Trump grew up and came in on network television, and a lot of people that surround him that thinking that still think network television has this this draw or this hold on thing that it doesn't really have anymore, especially late night. Same thing with later evening news and all that stuff. So they're thinking, we got to get this, he's sending this negative message, we can get him off the air and that type of thing. When one, in reality, his message, the Jimmy Kimmel span of message on his show isn't as what it used to be. And two, when you take them off the air, you can come back on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Kick, any of those things, and then boom, you're right back with probably more of an audience than you already have. So yeah, that was one of those. I just think a strategic miscalculation from the Trump administration there.
And Isaac, you weren't here last week to have any say. Do you have anything you do want to get on record?
No, I'm just glad. Hopefully, we'll start having documented records so everybody can see just how bad Chris is.
And I did say it was your idea last week, so I will give you credit. Unfortunately, no market for you to put your stamp on this week, but I'm sure something potentially in the future. I hate for the last comment to be another comment that also praises Knish, but I do want to also give him credit because last week's return fire was fantastic. I thought it made for fantastic content after Rob compared him to Simon Hunter. Sprint Actual says Joey K's return fire was completely justified. The comparison to Simon Hunter was a low blow and out of line. Knish, how do you feel a week after the tirade you put on Rob in that episode?
No regrets. Glad it happened, and I still can't believe that he tried to phrase that as like. Oh, that Joey K, we love him. He's our Simon Hunter. So, yeah, appreciate the comments, Sprint.
And if you do want to get involved with the comments again, you can go down below and comment and have your say on something from the episode. But the conversation continues off of YouTube as well and off of Twitter. You can go to our new Discord. Hammer has a Discord, hammer.gg/Discord. The link is in the description for that. It'll also be pinned in the top comment on the YouTube episode as well. Continue the conversation there. We have the hashtag Circle Back on Twitter, but we also have a channel within the Discord specifically for Circle Back submissions. So again, head over to the Discord, hammer.gg/Discord, or just simply go to the links that are in the description. Moving on to the final full-scale topic on the show today comes from Pips NBA, my former co-host on the Board YouTube channel here at the Hammer Betting Network. Incredibly sharp basketball player prop better. He says, possible hot take, tout/cappers provide more value to their average customers by sharing player prop bets on soft books such as 365, MGM, DK, Hard Rock, etc. than those that bet against FanDuel/Prop Builder, sharp books, even though they have bigger limits/tougher to beat. If you have a group of 100 people tailing bets, there's a decent chance most get down some money on soft books at the same price because they are slow to move, while maybe 7 or 8 people get down on one of the sharper books because everyone else bets before it moves, and everyone then else bets the worst number. How true do we think this is, Isaac? Do you think this is a hot take? Do you agree with it?
I'm not 100% sure, honestly. Like, I just haven't done this before. I'll defer to Joey or Chris here.
Flup, I could think I knew where you're going. I totally disagree with this strategy. I think this is a horrible idea for a client because if you're releasing to 100 or 100 plus people on any of those books and you have 100, 100 plus people betting a stale line, your account might last literally on some of those books a day or I'll just bet we don't do any business. Bet 365, their risk management is, one of the highest, I'll call it highest tier, but strict as the injury. If you bet a released service prop on a stale line there, unless you've got a massive long-term loser account, your account is going to be cooked. And I think the majority of those books are not going to let. So, doing prop releases or doing a prop service is very tough for a number of reasons anyway. But especially in that sense. So I don't think that's maybe for the tout, if he wants to then track his record as I can track it against stale lines at B365. Wouldn't surprise me if people did that in terms of people getting the play or using your service. If you actually care at all about your customers, or if you're a customer of that, no, horrible.
Knish nails it here. And also, I disagree with this slow moving aspect in props. They move typically based on how low the limits are. And these props are kind of very low limits, and you have people pounding it. They're actually going to move a lot faster than people would think. I've bet props before. If you bet a big enough size, you can move it yourself on even on a market number on a recreational book. If you bet big enough there. So disagree completely. Look, I like Pips, but this just screams like cope. Because I know he was selling props, just trying to justify the action here. I have no issue with him at all. I think he's completely wrong here, and Knish really summed it up well.
You would be much better served cross promotion for getting a Bet Stamp Pro login and literally and then just bet it. It's much easier to bet them yourself not trying to beat
Yes.
100 people to them or betting them with literally 100 people, which is like the screaming red flag to the trading room of like, oh, it's like someone just released it. So you like, or using even like, you know, other odds, any of those products out there to do it yourself, as opposed to, you know, being part of a service that's doing that.
And I will say, like, I've talked with Pips. I do want to give him credit. I do think his service is actually much better than the average. And I would actually go out and say that I believe probably the average person did win in his service. He described how he did it. That being said, I would still, even though I think you win an average using the service, I would still recommend, like Knish said, you're better off just getting a BetStamp Pro subscription, an Odds Jab subscription, a Pick the Odds. So many examples. Just go down the line. You are so much better off. If you want to give a tout money, do that instead. That is so much better.
I disagree on that last point, but mostly agree. Yeah, it's better to subscribe to someone who does win. Like your accounts will get cooked, but better than facing just dumb stuff.
Wait. Isaac, just comparing it. No. I think betting on your own versus subscribing to Pips, you're actually better off subscribing to Pips.
Sure.
But subscribing to Pips or getting a service such as BetStamp Pro, OddsJam, Pick the Odds, Bookies Beats, whatever.
Yeah, no, I got you. My bad.
Yeah.
That is better.
So Pips has shifted away from the pick selling space, but I would agree that the average bettor would win in subscribing to his service. So the post here, just to come to his defense a little bit, I from working with him and, you know, putting plays out on YouTube, FanDuel was a lot quicker to move than like anywhere else that plays are getting down. So I do understand it from that perspective, but also with that, you're much more likely to keep your accounts active. So I do understand what you guys are saying as well. But if it's the most amount of people get the line, I agree with this, but also for like the sake of your service and people being able to bet, I completely understand what you guys are saying in regards to that one as well. That brings us to the final segment on the show, which is, of course, the chopping block stuff that just didn't make the cut for a full-scale segment. Maybe not because they weren't good enough, but just because we had so much on the show today, as I said, to start us off. And, oh, look at that. We have Circles Off posting. We hit 20,000 subscribers on the channel. I do want to give a big thank you to everyone who has supported us along this journey. I joined a little bit later on. I've only been on the channel or contributing to the channel over the last year or so. But thank you so much to everybody who stuck with us since the beginning. Thank you so much to everybody who's joined late and just been at all involved in this process. We're hoping to keep things moving and keep things going upward in the future. Let's get into the actual topics. We have, first of all, Mr. Peanut Bettor, who is oftentimes a panelist on the Circle Back Friday show. And it is the meme of the distracted boyfriend looking over the shoulder at the other woman. And it's me looking at a potential new edge and distracted from executing on a current edge I know is profitable. Any of you have experience with this? Isaac, you ever looking for a new tennis betting edge and you're distracted from one that's actually already making you money?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, surprised to see peanut butter actually has any real edges. I mean, that's, I'm not so sure about that. But it's easy to get distracted. It's always more fun to work on a new project than actually put in the work to figure out if something works. You know, grinding data sets and pulling them and analyzing them is not fun. It's way more fun to just have ideas and then try to see if anything's easy.
I hate that PB snuck his way on the show, even when we didn't sign him as a panelist.
Let's see. Did you vote? You voted. Oh, well, Knish voted okay on this one, but Flup, you also voted yes alongside Isaac. So give us your thoughts on it.
I like this a lot. I actually experienced this in the opposite, where I feel like I spend too much time jamming in old edges that I know and just like trying to get the maximum out of them, that I don't innovate enough. And I know, like, it's funny to see someone doing the opposite side. I can totally see it happening. Where like I always sit there, like I always think to myself, why haven't I tried like grinding, originating, and like actually like figure out how to like beat like at least overnight NBA or like something like that. And I always tell myself I'm going to do it and then never do it because I always want to like, it's so much easier just grinding top down, which I know works, and I'm making money from there. So I experienced the opposite. I thought it was very funny.
Speaking of finding new edges, potentially new edges on the way in the MLB, because they're implementing a challenge system for balls and strikes in the 2026 season after the league's competition committee voted to usher in the era of robot umpiring. So goes directly in line with the previous post about finding edges, goes in line with what we've talked about the last couple of weeks in regards to automated officiating in sports, if it's having a hindrance on the actual product. But on the topic of edges, Flup, we'll go back to you and start with you on this one. Do you feel like there are edges to be had with this? Is this something that can be exploited here?
I don't know baseball enough to think of it, but I am sure some creative team or player or manager will figure something out, and they will gamify this as it always happens.
Interesting. What about you, Isaac?
So is the rule is that they're going to have human umpires, but each team gets 2 challenges, right?
Correct. That's my understanding.
Yeah. So that's what tennis had for a long time. And then what happened is they ended up going to purely robots. So there's no umpires at all. I think it's probably good. I mean, I don't watch much baseball, so I only see the clips, but I've seen some egregious missed calls on really high leverage spots.
Yes, I saw one this week in person.
Yeah, and it's pretty tilting, right? Like whether or not you're just a fan or a bettor, to just see an egregiously bad call and have no way to challenge it makes sense. I think probably for the best.
Yeah, it seems like the first step and before going to like not full, like the umpire will still be behind the mound, but the system will basically tell him whether it's a ball or a strike, and then he'll call. Like that seems to be where it's going in the end of like you won't have any more umpire judgment on the balls and strikes, but it's, this is the first, you got to kind of do it in phases.
It's just crazy that like balls and strikes are just not a judgment call. It either is or it isn't, and we can get the answer in less than a second. And it's at least we have the challenge system now, but it's just crazy to me that this just isn't implemented full time. Like we can get this right every single time.
I've heard
no hindrance to the game, in my opinion.
I've heard the counter is that like catchers are trained on how to frame. Like pitch, like,
so you don't need to worry about framing anymore. Just catch it, you're good.
Well, but like there's a skill to it. So like there's a lot of like they're going on. There's some catchers that are better at framing and generate more strikes that were balls than other catchers. So like now like those guys that have spent like years perfecting this craft are now hurt unfairly for no reason.
Do you work for the catchers union? What's the argument?
Just get the pitcher to throw it in the zone and you'll be okay, I guess.
Who cares? Who cares?
That's what I think.
Sorry.
It probably does slightly devalue the catcher position as a whole, where like you'll see teams allocating less money to catchers, in general. But again, that's probably I'm not.
The higher skill is the pitcher who can throw it 100 miles per hour in the freaking strike zone. That's what's more important and more enjoyable to see, I think. So if that can be enhanced, I think the game improves. Not because the catcher can flip his mitt up a little bit and get.
I will say, one thing I'm excited for this is you imagine like the tweets from people when someone gets injured. Imagine someone live bets a strikeout or whatever, and it's a strikeout, and then they review it, and it's like just off, and they're just tilting it. I just cannot wait.
They knew I had $50 on his over strikeouts.
Yeah.
This creates the next micro bet, which is like, first challenge, will it be successful or not? And then
that's an elite bet. This guy could work for the
and just think if the player knows it's outside the the player could lie essentially. If he knows, I'm trying to think of this correctly. If the batter knows it was outside the zone, they could challenge. Or sorry, that it was inside the zone, they could challenge against it and get it wrong. It could be fixed in that way. Sorry, my wording was jumbled.
Great, like tennis had the best VAR review where like you're waiting for it, the crowd's
clapping. Yeah,
I think you can get there if you put it on the big screen in a big ball stadium. You have the whole people like it's just like I think
they had the pitch coming in, they have the movement coming in. Will it curl back in time to get the corner?
One problem.
So I think this has some like good entertainment value.
I completely agree, but wouldn't coaches in real time just have the technology to know which pitches are a ball or in strikes? They would just have 100% success rate. Like I would imagine you would just.
I don't know.
Like you could pretty easily set up a camera back in center field to have the direct feed, so automatically giving it to the coaches, and they'll know in real time if this was inside or outside or a strike, and then they just have a 100% success rate.
Didn't the Astros try to do this and they got into some hot water there? Like,
Maybe not. Is that not allowed?
Then
I
nothing
guess, yeah, I don't
happened
know
to
baseball.
them. They won a World Series and nothing happened
Sure.
to them. So sign stealing is a thing. So I'm sure, yes, here's a way to find an edge. Whoever can get the information the quickest and then relay it to their player the fastest without revealing that they have that information is the team that's going to get the most success from it out of the gate. But I didn't think about that part of it, which is really interesting. Guess that makes you a good bettor, thinking like that. Second last topic here. At Connery Macco says, love that United added in-flight betting for Star Alliance members, and it's the screen on the back of a plane seat with a FanDuel screen of NCAA betting odds. Knish, would you be firing some NCAA football wagers on a flight?
Walk me through this here. This, like, is this one? Is this a real screenshot?
it's
Like
photoshopped. It's
all
not
right. Okay, that's what I was like. Because I was like, how is he getting geolocation like on a flight? All right.
The fact that Joey didn't know shows what a great meme this is. Like, incredible job that you tricked the boomer.
I'm sure there was a lot of people that would have believed it as well. I'm trying to find it to kind of gauge.
No, the reason you can tell it's
replies.
AI is because if you look closely, the numbers are all messed up. It's like Texas State plus 78 or something.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't realize it is actually AI because there's a plus 289 spread.
Oh yeah. No, I
here.
thought no, you're.
So yeah, it wasn't even a Photoshop, and the FanDuel logo's off. And it says man bets instead of main bets. Wow. I did not even take it. It was AI generated.
I'm
that
taking
makes
a
it
big
less,
L on this one.
This Connor account is actually pretty elite. I've followed it for quite a while. It's
Incredible
great.
account.
Yeah.
Incredible account.
This is a good one, and it definitely got me. I thought it was photoshopped. I didn't take in it was AI generated. Anyways, last topic for today. A little bit of a more fun one, I'd say. Jack Mack, CFB of Barstool, says So the first post, Charlie Sheen opens up about how he slept with over 47,000 women and lost their virginity to an escort at 15. Jack Mack did the math. Charlie Sheen is 60. It's been 16,425 days since he turned 15. If the 47,000 woman is true, and that's not counting the guys. I don't know if you guys saw the documentary. He'd have to average just under 3 new women a day. Stats don't add up. Now, this is very much higher than Wilt Chamberlain's proposed 20,000 number. Let's set a price on if 47,000 is true, or at least in the ballpark. What do you think, Isaac?
I mean, I think the fair price is like 5%, not even. But like the problem is I would never want to take the other side. There's no way.
5%'s way too high.
Oh, way too high. Fair enough. Yeah.
0.001%.
Yes,
I mean, that might be too high.
47,000.
1%, 5%. It's all basically the same.
20,000. That's a good, whole number.
Jack
to the
nailed
10.
it. Jack nailed it. Like, just do the basic math. It's impossible. You cannot do like if he said a tenth of this, like 5,000, believable. Like, I would actually agree. With
very
that.
believable.
Very believable. Even if he said like 10,000, probably believable. But this 47,000 is just insane.
Yeah, no, almost certainly too high.
Now you got to remember. If we're talking about Charlie Sheen in his prime, in his absolute peak of his abilities prime, 3 women a day was probably no problem. I mean, we're probably 3 at a time in different.
Yeah, but he's got to maintain this for 45 years. I mean, that's fucking insane.
I'm just proposing the other side of this.
Listen,
to all the kids watching, but they're not counting these up one at a time here. We're raking in a bunch at a time. That's where some of the believability could come in.
One of two things happened here. One, he said this number for just because, to say it to get attention, to attract attention.
Then just say 50,000, right?
Or he thought it was 4,700.
Two is Charlie Sheen brain is so fried from years of drug abuse and crack that he has absolutely no idea what the fuck he's talking. He might actually believe that 47,000 number is true. Either way, it's no way. It's no way.
Yeah. Well,
How would you even like? Where would you even be like? In that, once you got past like, I don't know, who is even keeping track? Like, how would you even be like, oh yeah, it's around
How do you even
47,000?
keep track of that?
It's a really long spreadsheet.
Yeah, that would be. It'd be interesting to see such a spreadsheet. But hey, do you think 47,000 is a real number for this? Then give us your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below on that or anything else you saw in the episode today. Thank you so much for 20,000 subs. We love it, and we love you for subscribing, but we're not satisfied. We're going to keep going. Subscribe if you do. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Support our sponsors by going to the links in the descriptions, and we will see you again next time for another episode of Circle Back.